Welcome to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast, where we cover anything related to behavior change that will increase your long-term wellness and happiness. And now, here are your hosts, personal trainer and RNs, Matt and Jenna Lane.
What is happening, everybody? Welcome back to the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. I'm so glad we're still going so strong. My name's Matt.
And I'm Jenna.
And we run this here podcast, the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast, where we implement behavior change for your long-term wellness and happiness. Today we have a friend that I've never met in person, but I've known for quite some time through the internet. Wow, what a wonderful time to be alive. Little ode to Holden Hardman there. Today we have on Zach Estes. Zach, say hello to the folks. What the hell? I can't hear him.
Is he on mute?
No.
Did you put his volume all the way down?
There we go.
Oh, there he is. There he is. Nice. I was like, what did I
guys.
screw up? Okay, cool.
That was my bad. I had you guys muted.
No, you're good.
Super glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. How long have we known each other now?
Whew, I got to say, it's probably been 2.5 years.
Has it been?
Yeah, two and a half going on 3 years.
Okay. See, it's felt even longer than that. Okay.
Yeah.
It might be a little long.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and do the math there, but I think we're pushing 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really feel like it's longer than that because I feel like before I became a nurse, you and I were sort of talking and hanging out and all that, right?
I think we started talking as soon. I think you just started that journey. I think you were just beginning.
So that's
that path.
That's
So,
closer to
yeah.
like, I've been a nurse for 4 years now.
Yeah.
So
It's been a while, man.
that was just before. So 4.5, 5 years, 48 years. I'm terrible with time perception, as you guys know. Zach is not much better than me, a little bit better. But yeah, and before we dive into the podcast, if you're new to this podcast, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate you. We hope that we bring you value each and every week. This podcast comes out on Tuesday here lately for the past, I believe, 2 months. We've been putting an extra episode out on Friday, and we're proud of that. We're pulling from the Matt Lane Fitness YouTube channel, trying to recycle some content and get value to you guys. If you want to support the podcast, do us a favor, subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're at. If you're feeling squirrely and want to leave a review wherever you're at, it means the world to us. Thank you so much. Whether that review is positive or negative, we will take it. We're open to criticism. And at the top of every show, we hit you with our
Gratitude point.
This gratitude point is something that should shift your perspective. And my Lord, in a time of crisis right now in the world, what seems to be melting, what a time to be grateful for something, whether it be big or small. It should shift that perspective, and it absolutely does. And I'm going to go first. I've never been a coffee guy. Never liked it. It's always tasted like cigarette water to me, just never been a fan. I don't know why, I've just never gotten into it. But today, I tried cold brew coffee.
That was your first time?
First time, dude. 30 years.
Really?
Yes.
Game changer. Absolute game changer.
Oh my gosh, the acidity was so much lower, and I just, this is something obviously very small to shift my perspective, but it gave me a little context for people that are just so obsessed with coffee, and it was really, really, really good.
Drinking some right now.
So yeah, I'm actually grateful for that low acidity cold brew coffee. That stuff's pretty fire. Usually my gratitude points are like, I found out the reason and how to do world peace, so I wanted to come with something a little more low key. So yeah, Jenna, what you got?
Oh, see, now I'm coming in with the bigger perspective one.
Okay.
With everything going on right now, I really am grateful that we work in healthcare. There's a lot of reasons to not be grateful right now that we're working in the hospital, but I think that adds to our perspective to be able to discern some of the hype and the hysteria. And coming from someone who suffers from quite a bit of anxiety on a day-to-day basis, I'm really glad that we have that extra perspective to kind of sort through that hysteria and move forward with everyday life.
Without a doubt. Yep. And Zach, by the way, if you have one, awesome. If you don't, it's all good.
Gratitude point. There's so much.
Right?
If we're keeping it simple, I would I mean, in the time that we're experiencing right now.
I mean, you can go macro if you want. You can go big.
Yeah, no, I mean, micro. I'm all about micro right now. Hand sanitizer. Love the fact that I have that at my disposal.
Mm-hmm.
It's going off what Jenna said, having anxiety, being out in public, going to the grocery store, being able to come back to my car and disinfect my hands immediately and be able to eliminate any sort of anxiety about me getting sick or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
So hand sanitizer, something we take for granted, I think.
Yep, for sure.
Yes, we do, until it's not available anymore.
Yes.
I know, right? We're getting to the point where we're gonna have to barter, trading food for hand sanitizer, clothing, whatever it might be.
Yes, indeed.
Yep.
Zach and I, we spoke a little bit before the podcast. All three of us spoke a little bit before the podcast, but Zach and I were talking previously, what do we want to talk about with Zach? Because I feel that he's a very, very skilled, very talented, very thoughtful human being. He is the type of person that I can have a long conversation with, like you have those people in your life. I think if you're anything like me, where you can start off talking about something small and then you turn into like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and you've had this long conversation about just what the hell ever. And it's very impactful to both those individuals. Now, take away that whatever the subject is, what I'm saying is, with Zach and I, there's that connection. There's some people that you just can't make a connection with and talk to on a deeper level, whether it's something personal, whether it's something in society, whatever. I just think that that's really special. If you can find a person like that, hold on to them. And Zach is no different. And I think even more exemplifies that in my life, because I've never met him in person.
Yeah. So do you want to explain how you guys met?
Yeah, Zach, you wanna hit him with that?
Yeah, it was weird, and I appreciate you saying all that, because I completely agree. I mean, you and I, like we said, it might be 4 years, might have been 3, who knows?
Yeah.
But we've had this like weird pen pal relationship type thing going on.
Yeah.
And, I think from the moment we had our very first conversation is when, everything just clicked immediately, and I knew that this is a person, a human being, a friend that I'm going to be able to have for life, to be able to call up at any point in time and have a discussion. Could have been about anything, right? Could be about anything. Business, success, failures, just asking for advice, things like that. And I remember this vividly, man. It was at a point in my life where I think I was 19 or 20 at the time. I think I was 20. And I was getting into affiliate marketing, online sales, stuff like that. I was just trying to make money. I was living at my parents' house, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to school. I hate working jobs as far as like restaurants, bus boys. I've worked landscaping my whole life, just doing manual labor. And I wanted to figure out how I could make some money from home. And so that's when I came across you, because I was, marketing on Instagram, going after like-minded individuals. And that's when we made the connection. And you actually reached out to me asking, hey, at the time, I think it was some sort of financial product.
Yeah.
Learning about trading, investing, stuff like that. And you reached out to me wanting to know more information. And I set up a time for us to talk. And essentially what I was trying to do is I was trying to sell you. I was trying to sell you on a product so I could make money and, help you make money. Really, the goal was just to give you a call and sell you and make a quick commission and go from there.
Right.
But that conversation led to so much more. Immediately it was like, the first 5 minutes of that conversation, I had no idea what I was getting into. I was like, I'm talking to a complete stranger I've never met that I just connected with over Instagram. Could have been anybody.
Yeah.
And here we are 4 years later, man. Look at what it turned into.
And that's what we're going to talk about with Zach, if you guys are wondering, because we're about 10 minutes in. We're going to talk about how Zach's sort of pursuit of what he's wanting to do, trying to find what he's doing. But I think the backstory just gives so much context and lets you get to know who he is. And I remember vividly being very cautious about you because I knew that's what was going on. Of course, that's, there was a commission behind me. But, I just took it sort of at face value. And the more conversations we had, the more we continued to talk. And then we completely stopped doing whatever we were doing with that financial product and all that. And, and then, you've been here since you've been here since before Matt Lane Fitness was originated. You saw this podcast being built. You saw the Matt Lane Fitness YouTube channel. Like, you've seen, you know, I've called Zach about business stuff and marketing and, you know, what do you think about developing this type of program? And because Zach is very into fitness himself. So it's just been a very interesting relationship, and I view him more honestly as a brother than anything, but it's just always been so trippy to me because I feel like even people in your life, and I've had people in my life, and we've talked about this, that they come and go in your life because that was the time that they were supposed to be there, you know? And so for someone that you've never even met, I know I'm harping on this, but I just think it's that big of a deal. Like, there's something there. There's some connection that is just really strong in my eyes. So yeah, we've met a long time ago. And what little bit have you, Jenna, what little bit have you heard me talk about Zach, or what lot of it?
So I think there's several interesting takeaways, at least from my perspective, of one, if you're looking for someone for inspiration or an accountability partner, I think at this point, with the easy access to social media and the internet, you don't have an excuse to not have found someone. And I think the more you put yourself out there, just in these random conversations, you can really connect with someone that maybe you never meet in person, but you connect on a specific level. And I think you each have kind of fed off of each other, just listening to your conversations of, you know, you trust each other. You're both like-minded, even though your ultimate goals are different.
Yeah.
But you bounce ideas off of each other. You're both in that like entrepreneurial mindset, and that long-term goal, in your vision, and not just settling into whatever career you're going to be in and just pushing through regular life like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, good.
Yeah.
That's the exact perception that I have of our relationship. So that's good. You've been listening more than I thought. If I had $1 for every time I've walked around this house with you on speakerphone, and, you know, us just going into deep conversation. Yeah. So I'm glad you have that.
I love it. No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's our conversation. Just you walking around the house, yelling at the dogs. You hear Jen in the background cooking. I'm on speakerphone. It's like I'm there, but I'm not. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. Like, we've never met in person as well, of course. And I recognize your voice on the phone. Matt will walk by with you on speakerphone, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's Zach."
It's Zach. Yeah, that's Zach.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah.
And I hate to set the tone. It's like I don't want to come across as like, and going off what you said, I'm not doing any of that online marketing stuff anymore.
Yeah.
And that was a very short phase in our life.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It really turned into nothing, but it did actually. I met a lot of great people along the way, and as slimy and, you know, weird as it was, and it really didn't turn into any financial success by any means. But I mean, this connection, the relationship we've been able to build off of that, I mean, that's the true value from, you know, that experience. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So again, we're now diving into it for real, but Zach, you said that, you know, you feel like you're entrepreneurial minded, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Naturally, yeah, absolutely.
And at this point in your life, how old are you now?
24.
You're 24.
So 24 back in August, yeah.
You're 24, and you're point blank, you're not 100% sure what you want to do with your life.
No clue.
And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because you're not the only person in the world. We've talked about it, and, you know, because you are into fitness, and I've actually trained Zach at one point. But he even knew that he's like, fitness is not going to be my thing, that I do some sort of business or entrepreneurial stuff. And I respected that so much when he was very clear that that's not it. But I think the point of knowing that thing, fitness or whatever it is not it, is very important, because like, I feel like a lot of people just use it as an excuse that I don't know what I want to do, so I'm just not going to keep looking, you know, like I haven't found that passion, so I'm just going to, you know, I'm just going to go work here. So I guess what my question to you is, or a few questions is, you don't really know what you want. So in the meantime, what are you doing? What have you been doing to try to figure out what it is that you want?
Yeah. And that's a long answer, but I'll try to summarize. I mean, you're exactly right. Being 24, I still am at the point in my life where I'm not entirely sure what I'm chasing after, what I'm going after. I don't have this deep rooted fire of the specific goal, whether, in your case, fitness and educating people and enlightening people, or, the specific idea that I have that I'm chasing after. I don't have that. Right. And so really, I did waste a lot of time going from 18 through 23. I was waiting around for that answer, waiting for somebody to show up to my door, dishing that out on a golden platter, saying, hey, this is what you're meant to do. Now go do it. That never happened. Right. And so once I turned 23, I kind of took a step back from everything. And I was like, well, shoot, man, I've wasted 4 or 5 years trying to figure out what that thing was. And I, just like you said, use that as an excuse by not taking any sort of action and just kind of going through the motions, getting by, making sure I can pay the bills and whatnot. That was the priority at the time. And I figured, if I continue to do this and just keep coasting, I'm going to look back 10, 20 years from now and say, I never did that thing. And I'm still trying to figure out what that thing was. And so I'm at a point now to where I'm just experimenting a lot. I'm doing a lot of different things. I'm figuring out what is captivating, what is enticing, what fires me up, what gets me passionate. Right. And the only way you can find that out is just by testing and tasting a lot of different stuff. So that's really what I've been focusing on for the past 12 months to a year and a half now, is just really anything that captures my interest. I go all in and try to figure out whether or not that's something I want to pursue long term.
Yeah. And what you do in your day job is what?
So I'm in sales, software sales. Okay. So we sell marketing. I work for a marketing agency, and we essentially help small businesses grow. So my day to day is I sit down. I'm in charge of making sure that I have meetings throughout the day, sitting down with multiple different types of businesses, whether it's plumbers or electricians or e-commerce businesses, right? Product-based businesses, could be anything. And I sit down with them and consult with them to see exactly what they're doing, how they're achieving their success, what are their goals, and where my company and our services can come in and benefit them. So that's really what my day-to-day looks like.
I think obviously that move was very strategic as compared to going and working somewhere else. Because what you have told me about your role is that you have gotten to know quite a few marketing products and how to market. And if you, the audience, you're listening and you're not into business or marketing or anything like that, if you're not trying to build something, marketing is as important as the actual product itself or the service itself. If nobody knows about the greatest service in the world, it doesn't mean crap. And I think that was. I remember when you were starting that job, I think that was one of the smartest things you've done, that you tasted in that area. So let me ask you this. What do you think it has been, how have you dealt with the frustration of not knowing what you want to do for the rest of your life?
I shifted my perception of everything recently. And that is, rather than viewing it as a negative, like, woe is me, I'm never going to figure out what it is I want to do. I'm never going to be able to fulfill this, burning passion like these other people are doing around me. I viewed it as more of opportunity. I'm in a position now to where it's exciting, right? I wake up every single day, and life as I know it can change just by one single opportunity presenting itself to me. I'm not on a set path right now. All I'm doing is, like I said earlier, just tasting a bunch of different things. And that's super, super exciting because I have no idea what the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years of my life look like. And to me, rather than viewing that as like scary and being anxious about it, I'm viewing it as like, wow, anything can happen and my life could radically look different from 5 years from now in the best way possible. So that's how I'm taking it, and just taking it day by day really is really what it comes down to, is just focusing on what you can control right now. And then from there, just grow upon that and just take every opportunity as it comes to you and learn from it and grow from it. So
yeah, I think you're building a really good foundation, because what's going on in your life a year or 10 years or 20 years from now might be something not even thought of at this point in anyone else's life. So I think getting all of those experiences, particularly in sales, I think that can help. Even just basic communication, even if you don't work in sales forever, connecting, human to human, that's a really important skill set to have.
That's something that you've talked about, as you were, I remember when you were training for this new role in this, in this marketing field that you're in this sales field that you're in, you talked a lot about the human interaction or the human connection. Like, how important do you? Well, let me take that back, because I don't think this applies to everybody. But again, I think if you're trying to build something, or if you're trying to build yourself, let's just say you're trying to self-improve, how important has it been for you to develop that human-to-human interaction, or understand how to navigate a conversation? I have met people in my life that do not understand how to navigate a conversation. Those nonverbal cues, people just don't pick up on.
Oh, yeah, it's everything. I mean, if it's one skill set I value the most, it's having the ability to be able to be socially aware and essentially identify who it is you're talking to and how to shift the conversation accordingly. If you can do that effectively, it will open so many doors for you, not just professionally, but relationally too as well. I mean, just be able to utilize that skill set to build and grow relationships. It's super, super important. The art of communication, I'm still learning it. By no means am I an expert. I'm naturally an anxious person. I'm an introvert, right? And so this going into this role was super scary, because how I make money is by talking to people, and how well I'm able to talk to people. So just always having anxiety and learning how to manage that effectively, and especially in the social setting, is everything. And so it's definitely a skill set I put at the very top of my list of focusing on, and because it's not a skill set that just comes naturally. You really have to work at it. I mean, some people do, absolutely. Yeah. I've met people that are just people, right?
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people. And so I really have to work and focus on that.
Well, and tell me, so like, what is your definition of happiness? You know, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, you know, he's doing this, he's trying to find things. Ultimately, your North Star, like, what's your definition of happiness?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It's a really good question. And you can take it in so many different ways. If you would have asked me 5 years ago, it would have been having $10 million in the bank account and driving a really nice car and having a nice house. And that's not the case anymore, because I've seen so many people have financial success, but they're so unhappy at the same time. And it's like, where's that disconnect, right? Where is that coming from? And so for me, learning how to have a well-balanced life, having I have a girlfriend, Caitlin, she's incredible. She's added so much happiness to me, and being healthy, having a family that you have a good relationship with, being comfortable, but at the same time, making sure you're pushing your comfort levels, getting out of your comfort zone on a daily basis, just making sure you're focusing on all these different aspects. And so I'm still working on that answer, because it is a super important question, and I want to have this one-off, this is what it is and this is what it means to me, but I'm still figuring that out. But as of right now, I'm just focusing on all these different aspects, making sure I'm being present. I think presence is super important too. Whatever I'm doing, making sure I'm fully there, I'm fully aware and engaged in that one particular conversation. If I'm working out, I want to make sure my mind is on working out. If I'm with my girlfriend, I want to make sure that I'm putting all my energy and effort into that and giving her all that I have, right? And so just making sure I'm focusing on all these different aspects and building a good foundation for the rest of my life.
And shout out to Caitlin. I've never met her, obviously, but I've heard so much about her, and it's been so cool to be on the behind the curtain, because you've been able to see so much of what we've done, and then I've talked to you about our relationship, and then you've talked to me about y'all's relationship, and just so shout out to her, because I know she's a big support piece for you. So I'm really glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, she's freaking awesome, dude. We're gonna come out to Florida soon, as soon as this whole coronavirus stuff dies down and I can get on a plane without having a meltdown. Then absolutely.
Yeah, you could probably get a cheap flight right now.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Well, and so I think that your answer is perfect. Like, basically what you just said to me is, I'm not sure what my true definition of happiness is. And I think everyone on this podcast that's come has had some sort of definition. Jenna has said, I think that it's an evolving definition. I fully agree with you. The fact that you don't know what your definition is right now is okay. I think it's fantastic. I think for you to just make one up on the spot or just to try to show face is worse. So for you, the audience, if you don't have your definition yet, that's fine. But find it, just like what you're doing, Zach. You're trying to find what it is. So my next question, I've never asked this. Do you think there's a separation between what you want for your level of success and what you want for your definition of happiness. I think that those can be mixed at times. I think you can separate them. Do they coincide? Is there a certain level of success for you to be happy? That's a long, sort of big question, but I'll ask this question. Does your level of success impact your level of happiness? And I don't know if you can answer that yet either, but what do you think?
I would say to an extent. I think it would be, I think I'd be lying to say it doesn't have any sort of impact, because I believe it does, for most people. Yeah, I mean, it helps. It helps all the small problems when you are comfortable and you don't have to worry about paying bills, or you don't necessarily have to figure out where your next meal is coming from. I think that adds some value and allows you to focus on what's truly important. Because if you're worrying about how to pay your water bill or keep your phone on or try to figure out where the food is coming from next week, then I think that's where your mindset is going to go. And that's the only thing you're going to be focusing on. And so it's going to take away from being able to really focus on your relationships and really focus on what's important. Obviously, those things are important, making sure you can pay the bills and eat. So if you can get those taken care of, I think it's going to free up a lot more time and energy to really focus on what truly matters. And I think that's relationships with other people.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's of utmost importance to remember that separation when you're hanging your hat on what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Because I think there should be something in everyone's life that you build as far as happiness that is not based on your success, because there's going to be times in your life where you're not going to feel that success. So if you don't have that separation of this makes me happy no matter what, you're going to lack that motivation and that happiness to come back to being successful.
You're spot on, because I'll admit that, building what Matt Lane Fitness is and what it is to this point, I have blurred the lines of, is Matt Lane Fitness? I've blurred those lines, and I think when I was starting out, I would have said absolutely Matt Lane is Matt Lane Fitness. But now, being 4 years into this, which is not that long, I can honestly say that no, Matt Lane is not Matt Lane Fitness. I feel like Matt Lane Fitness is an extension of me, but it cannot be my sole definition of happiness. And the question's been asked to me, what's your definition of happiness? It is definitely doing these things that we're doing. It's, talking about what I'm passionate about. But no, it is not me. It is not my identity. And I think that's a very misunderstood piece.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
So what is next for Zach? Like, what is next for you? Like, is there, you talked about being uncomfortable. Like, what is the next thing you think you would end up doing that would make you uncomfortable? Yeah,
it's another great question, man. I think I'm at a point now to where that's what I'm trying to figure out is, being 24, not necessarily having a family to provide and support for. I'm realizing that's a huge opportunity right there for me to capitalize on. And so, I'm in this position going to my day job, which I truly enjoy, but it's definitely not something I want to do forever. And so now I'm in the position, trying to figure out, okay, what are those next steps? I'm utilizing what I'm doing now as a platform, as a stepping stone to get myself into another higher uncomfortable position that's going to allow me to build off of everything that I've already done. And so I know this is a very gray answer, but I think what's next is finding an opportunity for me to, whether that's pick everything up and just move out of where I'm comfortable. I live in Colorado. And so I've been here pretty much my whole life. And, my girlfriend's about to graduate college. So she has a bunch of stuff to figure out whether, what she wants to do professionally. And, we know what direction our relationship is moving forward, towards. And so I think it just comes down to, waiting a couple of months to figure out, okay, let's reassess where we're at. Where do we truly want to see ourselves in 10 years? And what are the steps that we're going to have to take in order to make that happen? And then just make it happen. Just jump and go, because time goes so quick. And I'm sure you can attest to this. You and Jenna both, it flies, man. It goes so quick and it's unbelievable. We've known each other for as long as we have, because it feels like it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a blink of an eye and here we are. I remember talking to you about Matt and Fitness and getting this podcast up and running. That seemed like it was yesterday. And here you are, many episodes deep. And it's just a matter of making sure that you're making an educated and well thought out decision. But at the same time, don't let that paralyze you from not making a decision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I think, going off of Zach, what you said as far as you're 24 and you're kind of getting impatient on like, what are you going to do forever? I think from our perspectives, Matt, I don't think when you were 24, you would have imagined doing what you're doing now at 30. But what you were doing at 24 built the foundation for what you are doing right now. And it's the same thing with me in my ripe old age of 36. When I was 24 or even 30, I wouldn't have imagined that we would be sitting here having a podcast in our dining room. So
yeah, exactly.
No matter what you're doing, what age you are, what season you are in life, you're still building a foundation for what you're going to be doing later on.
And exactly what you just said. Zach, I think you said a very similar thing, if not the same thing, that earlier you said you have to be present. You have to be present, willing, wanting to try things, wanting to taste things, and you're 100% right. I fully agree with you. I do want to shift just a little bit because, again, Zach is into fitness. First of all, why do you continue to go to the gym, eat well, and all that? Like, because I've talked to you for a long time now, and you definitely you've never been that wavering type person, which I'm not saying is good or bad, but you've been the type of person that it's not difficult to get to the gym. For you, it's been, all right, how do I progress more? How do I accomplish more, I guess, in the gym? Why do you think that is for you? Why do you come to the gym so naturally? Because I think a lot of people, they do not.
Yeah. Well, it started off me going to the gym by wanting to, look good, right?
Okay.
In high school, being super skinny, wanting to put on muscle. But obviously, as that goes on and you put on muscle and you build your body, things start to shift a little bit. Priorities start to shift. And as of right now, the reason I'm still going day in and day out, I try to get in there at least 5 days minimum, 6 days a week. It keeps me grounded. It really does. It keeps me grounded. And I could be having the toughest day possible, everything going wrong, hitting every barrier in the book and just falling flat on my face. But if I can go to the gym and get a good workout in, I can look back on that and say, you know what, at least I was able to crush that workout. And mentally, that helps me so much because like I mentioned earlier, I'm super, super anxious, just naturally. I'm an anxious person. And so knowing that I did something that, and when you say that I can get there pretty easily, that's, I would say that's kind of shifted. I mean, I'm to the point now where it's like, after a long day of work, getting to the gym is not the easiest thing to do in the world. And so, hey, 3 years ago, it was super easy when I had nothing to do and I was at my parents' house living in the basement. But after 8-9 hours at the office, getting down to the gym and having to work out, it's tough. But just going through that and busting through that barrier, that mental block, and just doing it, it just keeps me grounded mentally and allows me to just keep pushing.
I mean, you pretty much just wrapped up like what this podcast is about with that. I mean, you were talking about the behavior change piece. Like all of this is behavior change. I mean, for me, any happiness, success, physical transformation, getting married, I mean, being happy, every bit of it in my life has been behavior change. And everything you just said, everything we've been talking about is behavior change. And if you're new to this podcast, that's the overlying arch, is that all of this happiness, wellness, success, whatever, is all born out of behavior change. So good on you. Good on you, Zach. Good on you.
Yeah, man. And I give credit to you, man, because you've kept me going because we've been there, it. I've called you late at night being like, yo, man, what do I do? I'm losing it. I'm losing that fire. I need to switch some things up. What's your advice? And you've definitely kept me on track. So shout out to you, man. It's tough. It's a tough life to live, but it's totally worth it. I mean, just get to the gym. I mean, easier said than done, but once you do it, it feels so good.
Well, it's been right back at you, and we've talked about accountability buddies in the past, and I mean, there was one point where you and I remember we were specifically contacting each other and being like, all right, did you get your ass to the gym? I mean, we've, and I, like, again, we've talked about that in the past, but if you're listening or watching this, it's so incredibly important that if you truly can't get there, if you're trying to create that positivity snowball like we talked about, where you pick one thing and start doing it and then it snowballs into a bigger positive thing, get that accountability buddy, because Zach has definitely been that for me. And for Jenna, it's been the door. If she closes that on me, that's her accountability buddy. It stops you even being able to see me, right?
What?
Well, because like when you started doing like all that fitness stuff, like if I was around, like you wouldn't do it. Am I wrong in that?
Well, no, because I was working through my own thing, and I felt like you were judging me or like gonna say something about my form or something.
Well,
that's how Caitlin is too. She does not want to work out with me. She hates it. She's like, I feel like you're gonna just be critiquing me the whole time, and I'm like, babe, it's okay. Like, just do your thing.
Yeah, I think the way bros work out and the way women work out is totally different, because I absolutely hate going to the gym with Matt, and it's all good intention. But when I was first starting out and I'd go to the gym and Matt would come up and I'm like concentrating and he's like, come on, one more. I'm like, I'm leaving.
It totally shuts you down.
Yeah. Like, women are not motivated the same way that men are.
Yeah. I don't respond to that kind of motivation.
No.
Well, babe, what do you think? I mean, you think this is the wrap up? I think this has been really good.
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot. There's a lot of perspective here, a lot of focus on foundation building and surrounding yourself with like-minded people. There's infinite opportunities for growth and friendships and all of that goodness anywhere you look. And I think even just, responding to someone spamming your Instagram can really blossom into something really meaningful. So you can find that anywhere if you're looking for it.
It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true. Zach, you got anything else you want to say?
No, man, I'm just I've been waiting for the day you called me up and invited me to be on, because I love it, man. I love the fact that, because I love talking. Obviously, like you can probably hear it in my voice. Like I just get passionate about having good, engaging conversations, and it could be about anything: business, marketing, fitness, conspiracies. It doesn't matter. I just like talking and having conversations, and it gets me pumped up. So I'm super appreciative that you guys have had me on here.
You know what? I also like that it took as long as it took. Like, yeah, I think like everything up until this point, because we could have had you on like the second episode, but
100%. Yeah.
It wasn't right then. It wasn't right yet.
Exactly.
So I'm glad that it played out how it played.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's been a good conversation.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm going to plug your social, all your stuff in the description below, guys. If you're watching this or if you are listening to this, it will be in the description below if you wanted to contact Zach. And if you need some marketing information, he might be able to help you out.
Hit me up.
He will talk about it. He'll talk about it all day long.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, appreciate you being on, guys. We'll talk to you next week.
This has been the Better Than Yesterday Everyday Podcast. We want to thank you for listening and invite you to subscribe to the show as well. And follow Matt Lane Fitness on YouTube. Until next time, you don't have to be perfect. Just be better than yesterday every day.